Welcome to our third webinar in our series of webinar training for peer counselors, and thank you for participating in this pilot program. We are excited about this new program, and we could not do it without you. My name is Marilyn Landrum, and I'm joined by Sarah Shadler. This is the last in the series of webinar trainings for peer counselors participating in the MDHE peer counseling program, and the other two webinars can be found on our success page on our website, and this one will be added there as well. If you have participated in 3 webinars, you will receive a digital badge which you can upload to your social media. So if you missed any of the 3, you'll be able to listen to it, let your peer coordinator know, and then you will be able to get your badge. I'll be sending the badge to the peer counselor coordinator at your school. So this is the agenda for today. We have 3 presentations right now that we are going to run through, and they're going to be available to you on the success page as well. And then Sarah is going to talk about the different resources from Mapping Your Future, some USDE videos, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And then there are a couple of games that we usually use whenever we are doing a financial literacy presentation that we're going to share with you. All right, so before applying for student loans, remember, these are presentations that you are doing for students at your school. So you're going to tell them, before applying for student loans, make sure you've used up all the free money you're eligible for. You'll want to apply for as many scholarships as you possibly can. You might even be able to use the same essay for multiple scholarships just by tweaking it a little bit. The FAFSA will be your application for state and federal grants and some state scholarships. So get it submitted as soon after October 1st as possible. Know what it takes to keep your financial aid, especially your scholarships. Usually, you must keep a certain GPA or be enrolled in so many hours to be able to keep your scholarship, and if you would drop below that, you might lose your scholarship. Don't be a stranger to the financial aid office. Drop in when you have any questions about your financial aid. They can explain who the players are that are involved with you receiving student loans as well as repaying them. So this slide, you're going to be able to ask this question and show the question, wait for them to answer, and then with another click, the answer is going to display. So just ask, what is the name of the application you have to file each year you're in school to receive financial aid? They may or may not know the answer to this. They will give you some of their answers, and then you can show them the answer. This is a screenshot from the Journey to College website. And to demonstrate this scholarship search, you could click on Pay up there at the top, and then there is a drop-down box, and you will choose Scholarships from the drop-down box. And then scroll down that page, and under Find Scholarships, you will see links to 5 different online search tools. There are also institutional and private scholarships, and I just used Jefferson College as an example today, but you will just insert the information for your school on this slide. So, for example, I have Jefferson College and then institutional scholarships, so whenever I click on that, we hope it takes us to that page. Okay, so here you can see on their website they have where you can find institutional scholarships, and down on the bottom it shows printer-friendly version, or you can send it by email, or a PDF version. And then if we click on Transfer Scholarships, Again, it's going to take you to the scholarships for transfer students, and it's going to show you different schools. Well, on their page, it shows different schools that your students may be transferring to. And finally, the foundation scholarships. So you can see on their page they have a whole list of organizations that they partner with that can be, that students can find scholarships. And I know this information will be different for each school, but I just wanted to give you an example. This is the Missouri source, and this publication has information about state and federal financial aid. So it would be good if you could either have a copy for everyone or encourage them to come by your office or the financial aid office for a copy. And our publications can be ordered from our website. Okay, it's important to know the difference between subsidized federal student loans and unsubsidized federal student loans. Eligibility for subsidized loans is based on your financial need. The federal government pays the interest while you're enrolled at least half-time and during approved deferment periods, but no longer pays interest during your grace period. Any student enrolled at least half-time in a post-secondary institution can receive an unsubsidized loan. Interest will be accruing as soon as the loan is disbursed, which means the funds have been applied to your student account and you are responsible for paying the interest. You can pay the interest as it accrues, or you may wait until your loans go into repayment. At that point, the interest has been capitalized, which means it's been added to your original loan amount. This increases the amount of interest you will pay. All right, so you're enrolled in school, you've applied for a federal student loan, and it has been disbursed. As long as you're enrolled at least half-time, you do not have to make payments on your loan. This is called an in-school deferment. Now then, congratulations. You're getting ready to graduate, and guess what? It's time to start thinking about repaying those student loans. For the first 6 months after graduation, you do not have to make any payments on your student loans, but you can, and without penalty. This is called your grace period. This is the time to be applying for jobs and determining what repayment plan will fit your budget. If, for some reason, you are not graduating but have dropped below half-time enrollment or are no longer enrolled at all, you will begin your 6-month grace period as well. After the 6-month grace period, it's time to start repaying back those loans. If you do not choose a repayment plan, you will be placed in the standard repayment plan. A list of the repayment plans can be found on page 7 of Planning for Financial Success. And for more information, you can visit the Journey to College website, and you will find links to the repayment plans and a repayment checklist. So in the notes, I have also included for you a list of the repayment plans just in case someone would ask you about them. But we intend to cover these repayment plans closer to the end of the semester in another presentation for you. So unless they ask, I wouldn't go into any details right now. So the fact is, all student loans must be repaid. It's a good time to start thinking about what your expected salary is for your field of study. Your student loan payment shouldn't be more than 8% of your salary. You should research what the starting salary is for your chosen career in that area of the country that you plan to live, and not the national average. Unless you qualify for a loan forgiveness program or are permanently and totally disabled, your student loans will have to be repaid. So only borrow what you need. If you would like to reduce the amount you borrowed for this term, or if you received a loan refund that you do not need for living expenses, visit the financial aid office to return this money. And then we have a short video from the Federal Student Aid that we wanted to share with you. Whoops. There.
And there are many financial aid options to consider. Did you know that a federal student loan can be a great way to help pay for school? After all, a grant, work-study job, or a scholarship can be a huge help, but these forms of aid may not cover the full cost of attending school. So if you decide to take out a federal student loan, it's important to understand what you are getting and be a responsible borrower. Getting a loan is a big decision. You might be paying your loans back for 10 years or more, so take your time to decide. And remember to accept only the loans that you need, because you'll have to repay them once you're out of school. Here are a few things to keep in mind when deciding how much to borrow. Do some research. Make sure that your school is the right fit for you, both educationally and financially. Location, location, location. The amount of money you need to borrow can depend a lot on where your school is located. In-state schools and community colleges may cost less than out-of-state schools. And finally, getting an idea of your future income is also important when deciding how much to borrow. Starting salaries vary greatly depending on your career path, so it's worth thinking about how the amount of your loan will affect your future finances. After all, your student loan payments should be only a small percentage of your salary after you graduate. Once you've decided on your school and figured out how much money you should borrow, you'll need to sign a promissory note, which is an agreement to repay your loan. Make sure you keep a copy for your records. If you do take out loans, you'll need to keep in touch with your loan servicer when repayment begins. Your loan servicer will make this easy for you by offering web, email, and phone contact options. If you make this investment in your future, being an informed, responsible borrower can pay off in a big way. If you have questions or need more information, please visit studentaid.gov.
Okay, so that's only one of the videos, but we thought this was a good one to be able to use for this presentation. The NSLDS website is where you will be able to find all the information about your student loans. To log in, you will need your Social Security number, the first two letters of your last name, your date of birth, and your FAFSA PIN. It's important to be aware. Keep track of everything running through your student account. Also, balance your checking account regularly because those small fees can add up. Be smart when you're using your credit cards. Try to use them only for emergencies or only charge what you can pay off each month. Don't let your friends borrow your credit cards. Don't share your PIN with anyone. It's best not to have too many credit cards, so try to limit yourself to just a couple. If your friends are going to do something you really can't afford, learn to say no. Suggest an alternative activity. You're probably not the only one with a tight budget. And at this point, if you could give some examples of some free things to do in your area, or if you are aware of places that provide student discounts, you might throw that in here. If you have a roommate, have a conversation with them so each of you know what is expected. Who's paying for what? If you live on campus, take advantage of a meal plan and choose the one that's right for you. There's no point in paying for meals that you won't eat. If you live off campus, consider all the costs such as security deposits, utilities, meals, cleaning supplies, insurance, and other things. continuing to live at home with your parents may not be such a bad idea. So this is the last slide for this presentation, and this is where you would put in your name and your contact information. The next presentation is success tips for navigating your college career. And the peer coordinator from Crowder College was nice enough to share the information she uses in one of her classes about navigating your college career. So being in control means that you make your own decisions. It's all about choices. We have control over how we use our time, the commitments we choose to make, and over the small decisions we make that affect our time management success. So then at this point you might have a discussion about prioritizing this list of items and ask them which one is most important to you. I suggest that you order a supply of MDHE's Planning for Financial Success publications to hand out. And then you can just ask, are you using a calendar? And it doesn't matter whether you use a planner like the one in Planning for Financial Success, something small that might fit into your purse or wallet, a calendar that hangs on the fridge at home or the wall in your room, or the calendar on your phone. Just make sure you're noting due dates for assignments, appointments, and your work schedule. You might want to use Post-it notes or set an alarm on your cell phone to help you get organized. Try to give yourself 30 minutes at the beginning of each week to make a master schedule for that week. Include on your to-do list any assignments due, required reading, study time, and important dates coming up. It feels good to check the items off as you complete them. The goal is to use your spare time more productively. You will be able to find this form and download it from our success page on the DHE website. Obviously, each class is different, and you may not need to study as much for, say, a PE class as you do for biology. Or if you love writing and it comes naturally to you, your English class may take an average amount of time to study, while chemistry or math may require more. A general rule is that you must study 2 hours for every hour in class at a minimum. Of course, depending on the type of course, this could be more or less. So at this point, you will want to have made copies for everyone that you're talking to. Make sure they have a copy of the worksheet, and you'll ask them to, on the worksheet, list their lighter classes, then average toughness classes, and finally the difficult classes. Multiply across and get your total for each row. Total up your study hours for the week. Do you need to manage your time differently and make a new schedule? This may be an eye-opening activity for them to think about how much time they need to spend studying. So, other time management tips. You might think about dividing larger tasks into smaller ones and conquer them one by one. Don't waste your time procrastinating. If a tough assignment is due, get started. All work and no play isn't an option. You need to have some fun along the way. Sometimes it's the quality of study time rather than the quantity. If you're tired, have a headache, or stressed, only study maybe 20 to 30-minute blocks. Then come back to it whenever you're rested. You cannot get quality study time in front of the TV, on the sofa, in bed, or with your cell phone on. So find some place to study. If you have some suggestions for them as to places they might be able to study on campus, you can provide those. Sometimes you even have to tell your family and friends no. The Journey to College website is a good resource, and it has information on planning for college, paying for college, and finishing college. So as you can see here, if you click on Finish at the top of the page and then Succeed in School, it will take you to the Success page where you will find information on managing time, making school a priority, the importance of asking for help when you need it, paying attention to deadlines and looking for opportunities such as internships and study abroad programs. In case students are planning to transfer, remember, the course tracker Eric talked about in the last webinar is also found on the Journey to College website. Suggest that they sign up for MDHE's text messaging by texting Most Success to 41411. You will receive a couple of encouraging, informative messages per month, and I've listed a couple samples here of the texts that we have received recently. You might want to order some bookmarks that we talked about in the first webinar and hand those out at this presentation. So this is another, we've come to the last slide again, so this is another place where you will want to add your name and your contact information. At the end of the presentation, ask if anybody has any questions, and then when we post this presentation for you to download, I already took our contact information off of this page. Okay, and our last presentation that we've put together for you is on identity theft, and this information comes from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Identity thieves may rent apartments, get credit cards, or start other accounts in your name. You may not find out about the theft until you review your credit report or a credit card statement and notice accounts you didn't open, charges you didn't make, or until you're contacted by a debt collector. Keep an eye out for identity theft by reading your statements from credit card companies or banks and credit unions and checking your credit reports for suspicious activity. Look closely for charges that you did not make. Even a small charge can be a danger sign. Thieves sometimes will take a small amount from your checking account and then return to take much more if the small debit goes unnoticed. Review your free credit reports from each one of the three major credit bureaus, which are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. If an identity thief is opening financial accounts in your name, these accounts may show up on your credit report. You can request a free credit report from each one of these three credit reporting bureaus once every 12 months. Be sure your personal information, like your Social Security number, address, name, or initials, and employers, is correct. Don't ignore bills from people you don't know. A bill on a debt you never borrowed may be an indication that someone else has opened an account in your name. Contact the creditor to find out. If you have a problem with credit reporting, you can submit a complaint. Protecting your personal information can help reduce your risk of identity theft. There are four main ways to do it. Know who you share your information with, store and dispose of your personal information securely, ask questions before deciding to share your personal information, and maintain appropriate security on your computers and other electronic devices. More information about keeping your personal information secure offline and online can be found on the CFPB website. Some services may help you correct problems if identity theft occurs. They often include a credit monitoring service that monitors your credit history and provides periodic credit scores. Prices and services offered by identity monitors vary widely. You should also be aware that free and low-cost services are available to protect consumers, including a security freeze and a fraud alert. Putting a security freeze on your credit report will generally prevent new credit from being opened in your name. Just remember that if you put a security freeze on your credit file, you'll need to unfreeze your file before you can open new accounts in your name. If you believe that you've been the victim of identity theft or fraud, or are about to become one, you can place a fraud alert on your credit report. Note that a fraud alert does not prevent a lender from opening credit in your name, but it does require a lender to take certain measures to verify your identity first. An initial fraud alert lasts up to 1 year unless you decide to remove it sooner. Okay, so this is also a video from the CFPB website.
Identity theft happens. It's an unfortunate fact of modern life. But there are certain steps you can take to help keep your personal information from falling into the wrong hands. Every day you do things to protect what's most important to you. And you know what? You do them almost automatically. Routine things like looking both ways before you cross, brushing your teeth, and buckling your seatbelt. Another routine to get into is keeping tabs on your identity and personal information. Here are 5 easy ways you can do it. Read your credit card and bank statements carefully and often. Know your payment due dates. If a bill doesn't show up when you expect it, look into it. Read the statements from your health insurance plan. Make sure the claims paid match the care you got. Shred any documents with personal and financial information. Review each of your 3 credit reports at least once a year. It's easy and it's free. And before you know it, protecting your personal information can be as routine as locking your doors at night. For more tips and tools on dealing with identity theft, visit ftc.gov/idtheft. That's ftc.gov/idtheft.
All right, so that is the end of this third presentation, and again, we want you to include your name and contact information on this. And if you have any questions about these, you're welcome to contact Sarah or me, or you can type your question in the text box, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar.
We also wanted to share some good resources in addition to these presentations that you can use whenever you're interacting with students or to just build your knowledge base so you're able to answer more questions. The Federal Student Aid YouTube channel is a really good resource. You saw one video from that channel earlier in the first presentation. We recommend that you watch all these videos listed here to build your knowledge base for talking with your peers. These are just a few that are related to loan borrowing. You can also show these to students or direct them to watch them to answer their questions that they have. Studentloans.gov, which is also on this page, offers a repayment estimator, which is an excellent tool for those students who are getting close to graduation, getting ready to enter their grace period. The repayment estimator allows them to enter in their loan amounts and to see which repayment plan would best fit their needs. Mapping Your Future is a website that has many tools for students, both college and high school students. There are also training webinars for people who work with students. We recommend that you view these that are listed here about filling out the FAFSA, FSA IDs, questions that students might come to you with that are simple enough for you to answer after watching this webinar. There are also calculators, general college success information, and career research that you or students you're meeting with could find on the Mapping Your Future website. We talked about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau earlier. You saw the identity theft presentation from them. There are other tools on that website, not only for identity theft, but also for money management and information on repaying student debt. This is a good site for you to visit, again, to build your knowledge base, but also to direct your peers to, especially those who might be experiencing difficulty in repaying their student loans or with managing a bank account. What you see on the screen now is the first slide for a game that some of you may have seen in action before. It's called Cool Credit, and this is a game that we will make available for you to use for classroom presentations or other small group presentations. It is a much more engaging way to inform students about credit, all the different kinds of credit, and everything that goes along with credit. It's played just like Jeopardy and is a PowerPoint presentation. It functions very smoothly, that you can go back and forth between this screen, the questions, and the answers. And this will, like I said, be made available along with directions on how to use it on our Success Services website. This is another game that we will provide. We call it The Price is Right. It's one version of a game that you might see on The Price is Right. This is about determining the cost of food, something that everybody has to buy. So students are presented with two options: the off-brand or the generic brand of an item that they commonly buy, and the name brand. And you can ask them to guess the price or the price difference between the two of these items. And when you click, the price appears for one and then the other. That's one example. The next example, Kool-Aid. Again, when you click, you can see that the off-brand is $2.59 versus $2.99 for the name brand. Macaroni and cheese. And so this is just a way to illustrate to students the cost savings that they can experience if they shop smart. When this presentation, the game is posted, we also have a slide at the end that totals up the exact cost savings, the difference between the generic and the name brand, and how much they could save over a year's time period if they purchased the less expensive items. Again, just another kind of fun way to teach them about something that might otherwise be a little dry and boring.
So this concludes the webinar for today. Does anyone have any questions? If If you do, please type them in the chat box. Okay, no questions. If you decide that you need to contact us, this is our contact information. And again, thank you for participating in the MDHE Peer Counseling Pilot Program. Please feel free to contact Sarah or me with any questions that you have, and we will be visiting your campuses in January and February, weather permitting, and we look forward to meeting each one of you. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.